Hello, race fans, and welcome to Disc Golf Daily. It is Wednesday, May 22nd. Before we talk about the tightening money race and the concerning PDGA growth numbers, thank you so much for telling a friend that you get caught up with disc golf news and growth by listening to Disc Golf Daily. So yesterday, tongue-in-cheek, I told you we would be able to tell if you told a friend because our numbers would have gone up. Lo and behold, the last 2 days have been the best Monday and Tuesday we have ever seen. Please keep it up. Tell everyone you know about Disc Golf Daily. Brag about being one of the cool kids before anyone even knew you were so cool. Now it's time for the Disc Golf Daily news. But seriously, thank you. Our number one news story of the day. It was really fun seeing Paul McBeth and Paige Pierce both make appearances in the top 10 for a while at OTB. PDGA Stats put together Paige Pierce's season by the numbers, comparing her season numbers, stat numbers, to her numbers at OTB. This is pretty fascinating. Her birdie percentage over the season has been 23%. At OTB, it jumped up to 43%. Her bogey percentage dropped from 31 to 13. Her parked percentage was more than triple, 6% up to 20%. Circle 1 and Circle 2 in regulation both up by more than 50%. Her C1X putting is still solid, right around 70%. Her Circle 2 putts are starting to drop, and her OB rate dropped dramatically, and there was some OB at OTB. It'll be fun to see Paige and Paul back in the mix more often. Our number 2 news story of the day, Estonians throw a marathon. So, link in the show notes. It looks like they played 21 courses non-stop. It does not list the times that the courses were played, but the total number of throws was 1,313 to 1,433. Yeah, it was 2 guys that did this. And the total playing time was 33 hours and 40 minutes. Oof. An average pace of 38 minutes per mile or 1.5 miles per hour. Some back-of-the-napkin math says that the average throw, including all putts, was about 100 feet. I honestly can't help but wonder, as they went into the last round, the guy that was losing must have known he was about 100 strokes down with 1 round to play. I know they say never give up, but he didn't have much of a chance in that last round. That is tough to come back from. Anyway, that is a great idea. Well done, guys. Who is putting together the first ever New England Disc Golf Marathon? Count me in. Our number 3 news story of the day, the Kansas Flying Disc Hall of Fame. This comes to us from the Hays Post, the newspaper in Hays, Kansas. Congrats to Jeremy Rusko, founder of DD, among many other things, Bob Decker, who served on the PDGA board for 16 years, and the Kansas State Aerial Wizards, who've been introducing kids to Frisbee and disc golf for over 49 years. Seriously, let's just call it 50. Thank you all, and the other inductees. Kansas and the world of disc are much better for having you in it. And thank you, Hays Post, for covering disc golf. And our final news story of the day, Gavin Rathbun and Kevin Jones are engaged. And no, not to each other. It was funny the way that was worded. During the off week before OTB, they asked and got yeses. Congrats to everyone, and here's to growing better together. Love is pretty cool. Now let's talk PDGA growth, and it's not all rosy. Wednesday is PDGA Growth Day, but before we get to that, let's do some PDGA top cash earners. I've got to tell you, Anthony Barella and Gannon Burr were just running away with this thing, but Calvin Heimberg is making it a significant 3-way horse race. Anthony Barella, $46,000. Gannon Burr, $44,000. Calvin Heimberg, $40,600. And I'll go ahead and tell you, Calvin Heimberg has the highest average per event among the 3. On the women's side, Evelina Salonen still sits in first at $33.6 thousand. Kristen Tatar, who is out for 4 weeks now, is at 32.7 and Owen Scoggins is at 30,800. That is also going to be an interesting race. It's interesting when the favorite is going to fall behind, and we will all be rooting for her to come back in full form and show us if she can win the cash race and the Pro Tour and the Pro Tour points. Who knows? Moving on, the ratings cash line at OTB was 931 for the women and 1016 for the men. Those are both just a smidge below the average for this season so far. All right, now it's time for PDGA growth. We go through disc and basket approvals, we go through events, we go through attendance, and we go through memberships. PDGA approval growth. At the beginning of the season, we were running about 50% behind the 2023 average. At this point, we are just 31% behind, so still behind, but improving. Event growth. In 2023 at this point, there were 3,912 events. In 2024 at this point, thanks in large part to the Women's Global, there are 4,031 events. So normally we're running about 1% ahead. We're now running 3% ahead. Having said that, the average attendance at these events dropped precipitously over the last week. 2023 is still sitting at 58 people on average per event, but we dropped from 54 people average per event to 51 people averaged per event. That is a big drop. I expect this average attendance number will recover over the coming month, but it's got a good way to go. And that brings us to PDGA membership. I went ahead and did a little more in-depth research on this. Our current PDGA members were sitting at 108,000, almost exactly. Estimated total members at the end of the year, 132,700. That is about 3% off the pace to have a flat year. So we're running about 97% of last year's pace. The current highest PDGA number, 288,040. By the end of the year, I expect we will hit 299,842. So not quite 300,000 by the end of the year. But who knows? Maybe we'll get a little excited and actually bump it in. The new members in 2024, 11,964. That extrapolates to an estimated total number of new members by the end of the year, 22,303. And I've got to say that's only 62% of the number of new members that we saw in 2023. So realistically, the only chance the PDGA has of not having a shrinking membership from 2023 to 2024 is to increase retention of its 2023 members. Right now, we're anticipating having an 80% retention rate, and we need an 83% retention rate. We're about 4,000 people behind where we are as far as PDGA retention goes. That does it for us today. Not great numbers for the PDGA. Maybe they need to have a half price, a buy one, get one free kind of thing, like a bring a friend day. We'll do it at League, you do it at the PDGA. Whatever it takes. Anyway, if you have any thoughts, news, or opinions, shoot us an email at discgolfdaily@aol.com. Have fun, throw them straight, and hit the thin gap.